All right. As far as injuries go, the new ones are Ben Broniker and Taylor Gabriel are both in the concussion protocol. And so those were both self-reported after the game, and hopefully they get okay, but they're in the protocol. So that's where they're at. And other than that, nothing new, just getting ready to gear up here and take off tomorrow for the game.
With the short time frame, do you assume those guys are very unlikely or out on Thursday?
It would be probably a stretch with both of them. So they're in the protocol, and so we're kind of just taking it day by day.
And on the play before Broniker's drop, he converts third down and takes a helmet-to-helmet hit right there. Do you have any indication that that affected the next play?
I don't know. I mean, I saw that too, but I had no idea. And so you never – I mean, there's so much contact that goes on throughout the game. It's always hard to tell, and that may have been a time it may not have.
Matt, two concussions from Taylor Gabriel in one season's got to be a long-term concern, right?
You know, it's anytime you deal with the word concussion, it's always a concern. And so when you deal with multiples, you just hope that these guys are okay. It is a violent game, and you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're putting the player that they're taken care of health-wise.
And with the tight ends that you lost, how does that affect how you can use your tight ends, like relative to week one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. And you know, we all kind of joked about at the beginning of the season and middle of the season how many tight ends we've had. It's come to help us here a little bit to at least get through and see where some of these guys are at. It also gives a guy like Horsted a chance to see what he can do. So it presents some opportunities for some.
What have you seen, Riley? What did you see from Horsted that maybe gave you any indication that he's ready for a bigger role, which you might have?
Yeah, I didn't see, you know, he didn't play a whole lot, but the times he was in there, he made a nice play on the gap screen, the catch that he had, and so you know, he definitely has talent. It's going to take him some time to learn the position, and so we got to be patient with that.
Where have you seen Riley Ridley grow the most behind the scenes with Taylor's injury? It seems maybe Thursday could be the opportunity for him to
Yeah, so where I've seen him grow the most is with patience. You know, it's hard. These kids come from these big programs that are successful. They're the big fish in the small pond, and now it kind of flips on them. But he's been a true pro. He's trying to learn every day after practice. He takes advice, very patient. I know it's killing him because he wants to be out there. And so, you know, with Taylor here up in the air, we'll see what kind of chance that gives Riley.
Matt, some of Mitch's really good downfield completions in the game the other day, he's climbing the pocket and moving forward. How do you bring that out of him more consistently, that presence and feel in the pocket, to make sure he's not falling backward, but he's going forward?
I would say early on, it probably starts with protection early on. So when a quarterback feels protected, they feel like they have that green grass, that pocket in front of them, you're able to push up into those guard gaps. When you start moving your feet, sliding outside the pocket, your timing's off, your vision's off. So the earlier you can get a clean pocket, the more trust you as a quarterback will have with your timing, you know, of your release point and what you can do. And the dagger throw to A-Rob that got called back, that was just a really good job by him.
And what's the chess match aspect of this game, knowing that you've beaten the Lions 3 times, and just the fair assumption that Matt's going to have some things on their side that you're maybe not expecting?
Yeah, well, the number one part of it is that for both of us, it's a really short week. I mean, it's one of those times where you're just there's really, you know, you have to get rolling. You can't have any wasted time, and so then that's the mental side for the coaches. It's the physical side for the players. When you get into the chess match part, you know, they do what they do, we do what we do, and there's always some unscouted stuff, but for the most part, you got to just go out and play.
What are your fondest memories of last Thanksgiving?
I remember thinking it's pretty neat that I'm able to coach on Thanksgiving Day. Growing up as a kid, watching every single Thanksgiving game and all day long, you feel very fortunate to be a part of that. The tradition between the two teams. And then I just specifically remember how tired and beat down we were at that point in time. It was a very lethargic game. Last year, you could feel the lackness of energy, the low energy. And I was at the end of the game, I remember being real happy with how our team pulled through that stretch. And that's what I remember.
That was at the tail end of that stretch for you. What can you draw on in terms of what you guys showed last year in that?
Yeah, well, we showed resolve. We showed some ability to be mentally strong. That was forget being physically strong during those moments for the players. The mentality of playing those 3 games in 11 or 12 days, and now I think somebody said to me the other day we're in 4 games in 18 days or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just think that the mental resolve for our players is very important. And we're at a time right now during the season and going through what we went through where it's going to challenge all of us, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we react.
30th in first quarter points for your team this year, but second in third quarter points. I mean,
Sounds good. That's some good news somewhere with this.
I saw yesterday where you said you're trying to figure out the why.
Yeah.
Why you're not starting the way you're starting in the third quarter.
Yeah.
How have you processed that this week?
We've all kind of talked as an offense, and I've asked around and some of the players, and we've all kind of asked each other. I think at some point in time, you really realize that you understand. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know, other than I wish it was good for both, second in the first quarter and second in the third quarter. What I take from that is that when things aren't going well, our guys aren't just folding up shop. They're understanding, well, let's make some corrections and let's get better. But that's probably our number one objection right now is coming into these games as a faster start, and let's see what happens when we do that.
Matt, to get an understanding of some of the communication issues you guys are going to try to clean up this week, when you spent the 2 timeouts against the Giants, for those reasons, you changed personnel before the next play. I'm curious, do you call timeout because you didn't have the right personnel on the field, or did you just have a chance to reconsider what you wanted?
No, we had the right personnel. We had a formation situation, and I did not want to take. You can't take a penalty there when you were trying to get those 2 points. So I had to use the timeout. So that was a formation more than
You go ahead and switch the guys who are on the field.
right, because once the formation got a little bit messed up, the confidence level in that play went to 0. So I went to a different play.
Can you explain you're giving the Sweep the Sheds award to someone that did not play in the game?
Yeah, so Bradley Sal got our Sweep the Sheds this week. He's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. And in fact, number one, in the offseason, he went from 330 to 280 like it was nothing. And so switching positions, that's just, off to the side, the commitment that it takes. You take it into this year, and, he's been in a position where learning a new spot, out there helping out our guys in practice every day, giving Khalil and those guys a look all the time. Sometimes those small things help out, and we just appreciate that.
Yeah, Khalil had the big play, last game. Didn't have that any stats against the Rams week before. That was kind of a big deal. Overall, when you look at his season this year, how would you assess how he's played throughout the entire season?
Yeah, just watching him play, it's impossible to say that he hasn't had a good year. I mean, I think he's had a really good year, and there's a lot of times where he's getting a lot of people on him. This past week, you saw for whatever reason. There were some times where he got a little bit more singled up, and anytime he gets singled up, he's usually going to win. So I just appreciate the way that he comes to practice. Throughout this whole deal, the season we've had, he's been a true pro, and he cares about the numbers only because it helps the team, and I think that's how everybody is, and so he could care less about all the sack totals and everything. He just wants to win, and that's all I hear from him, and that's what I appreciate the most.
He is dominant, do you think, this year?
Absolutely. Probably he may even be more dominant for that fact, just with the amount of attention that he's getting.
Matt, last year at this time, you were in a real groove as far as guiding your team, through a rough stretch into the schedule. What is the message this week?
Just for us to, what I said to him after the game was, let's make sure we don't get complacent. It feels good to win. No matter how you do it, you win. But now we put ourselves in a position to get back to 500, and the only thing you can do is let's put together that one game where it feels really good, where all 3 phases are playing well, and that's it. We can't control 2 weeks from now. We can only control this game, and that's kind of the mentality we have.
Do you feel like those messages are resonating like they did last year, even though the outcome?
I do. They're different. They're different because they're on. Last year at this time we were in a pretty good spot, and there's a record-wise, that's what everybody goes by. But to me, in this situation that we're in right now, it's revealing a lot about a lot of people, and you learn who people are, and everybody, coaches and players. So the message is being heard. They're reacting to it, and you could have went a lot different way a few weeks ago. It didn't.
What are you learning about Mitch?
Just that, with him, he's. I like the fact that throughout all this, he really stays positive, and it's hard. It's hard to stay positive. There's times where you all see him, I see him, and we all get to points where you get frustrated. But through it all things considered, I think that to show where he's come from, week 1 through week 7, and now the last 3 weeks really do a good job with his decision making and improving. That's what I look forward to, and he's stayed as a leader in the room with the guys, and so it's knowing that we have the rest of the season left. We're looking forward to seeing what we can do.
You've talked about Mitch, other quarterbacks developing on different planes, or the struggles early in their career and then wound up flourishing. You had Alex Smith in Kansas City. Are there common threads in how Alex kind of developed versus how Mitch is kind of developing, just maybe in terms of their mindset, their mentality, anything like that?
Yeah, there's a little bit. I'd say the biggest difference is that Alex had a lot more experience coming into it with our offense when we got going. So he knew so much about defenses, and he knew so much about even though he wasn't in our offense, a lot of the lingo was similar, the language. So when he came into this, it was able to happen a little bit faster. All that said, there was still some rough patches early on, statistically per se. But, I think that you saw that after a couple years, we really started clicking.
How helpful is it for Mitch and really the entire team, given that this opponent is so familiar? You just saw him 3 weeks ago. Are there things from that game that you can apply to this one this week?
It's nice as a competitor when you're familiar with an opponent, but then also on the flip side, they're familiar with you. They know your strengths and weaknesses. That's with coaches, scheme. That's with players and technique fundamentals. So I think the biggest thing on this one is just a matter of how both teams react to a short week, and then mentally playing on an early time. And then where we're at, as a division opponent on the road on Thanksgiving Day, it'll be a fun challenge. Thank you. Thanks.
How we divide it up? I'll do the third. Johns, Potsy, Hub, and Diggs.
Okay.
I'll do the last 3. I'll do the first 3. We'll get the last 3. I'll do the second 3. All right, sorry, JJ, I didn't see that.
That's fine.
I'm not shooting Mitch and tell Moon to.
I'm switching off of Mitch, so I'm just going to get in front of him. It's a long story.
Oh, okay.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Chris.
All right, fire away.
How impressive is what you saw from Cordero Patterson? Is that kind of a skill that's really underappreciated and rare in terms of keeping the ball out of the end zone like he's able to do?
Those are 2 big-time plays by him. Obviously, he's been doing it, I think, in my opinion. I'm obviously biased at a high level this year in that cover area. He's there's other things that show up on tape with him that people don't see with regards to someone else gets a tackle, but he comes down and he takes his guy and essentially throws him into the hole, causing the guy to hang a left into someone else's. We give him a forced tackle on that. He's playing really well, but it is impressive for him to be able to – you weren't thinking about a pooch punt there, so he's not even considering that. Negotiate the returner, Janoris there, and then bypass and then sprint to get it. That's a big play. I'm proud of him.
How rare is it for a guy that's considered one of the best kick returners ever to want to do stuff like that, like the dirty work?
I haven't had a player like this since Coach Josh Cribbs, to be honest with you. Cribbs was a great returner, and he was an excellent cover player also. So kind of the same type of player. Blessed to have him.
What do you think when the Giants kicker, who's the NFC representative in the Pro Bowl last year, misses 2 going toward the north end? Just given everything that we talk about in here and everything that's gone on this year, you see that guy.
I think I'm going to hold true to my statements that kickers don't grow on trees, and that there's a growing process, and it's a year-to-year deal. I think that we did state that, and this is no excuse, but I think this is the lowest field goal percentage since 2003. And I think that obviously as an organization and as a coach, you have to temper that with how long do you stay with them. You don't overreact and you don't underreact. But he's an awfully good player, and obviously that worked out in our favor. But I can't say that I'm surprised by it because everything right now is still unpredictable in the league. There's only a few guys that when they line up, you feel really pretty good that it's going through.
Generally speaking, rookie kickers who have success in year one don't always have it again in year two, Rosas being kind of an example of that. Just generally, in your experience, why is it difficult for a rookie kicker who has success year one to duplicate that in year two?
I don't know if I have a real great answer for you on that. I think it's just kind of luck of the draw a little bit. I mean, each year is different, each kick is different, each wind is different, stadium conditions, those type of things. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of going through your process, staying true to that process, and then striking your ball. And then, like I say, if Mother Nature takes it, she takes it. But you got to feel good about how you hit it.
Chris, you don't always get an athlete the caliber of Cordero Patterson when you're working with special teams. Did you lobby to get some control over his reps or to get him over to your side?
No, I think the organization did a great job. They knew that when we acquired him, that he was going to fill a lot of roles for us, and one of those roles was going to be special teams. So the nice thing about here in Chicago is our organization takes special teams seriously, and Coach Nags backs it 100%, and as does Ryan. So, I mean, we're gonna. You see us on our punt. I mean, Kwiatkowski is still on the punt team. I mean, we're going to still play our best players. At the end of the day, it's about winning the game and setting field position.
Were you eyeing him for punt coverage originally, or how did that come together?
He hadn't played gunner since I think all the way back into Minnesota when he first got there, and did it a little bit maybe in Oakland, but then when we asked him to do it, he was all in. And I mean, the combination obviously of him and McManus on the outside has been a really good 1-2 combination.
On that note, did you learn anything earlier in the season from not having Sherritt that you maybe can potentially apply here if you have to be without him again?
I think we're always developing guys, and that's our world. You know, if whatever happens, but next man up, and that's just kind of what we follow. And you know, as those two guys have been playing, we've also been working with guys after practice, so that if any situation comes up, we're ready to go.
Chris, is there internally more sort of understanding about Panera's miss because of everything that led up to it, or is it just sort of a major kicks at this point?
With regards to the
Panera's missed extra point on Sunday.
Oh, I'm not going to put that on Eddie. In fact, that was past the line of the day, to be quite honest with you, and so I don't put that one on him at all.
When you diagnosed the miscommunication there that led to the penalty, what did you kind of see in terms of how that could avoid happening again?
Well, it happened really fast, and we got it changed real quickly. Actually, as they were going onto the field, that's how fast it transpired, and that's our world. And then there was some confusion out there on the field, and obviously I'm responsible for that. And to be quite honest with you, that can't happen, and that's on me. And I call that's bad ball, and then we got to fix that.
The Giants had a 40-yard return on a punt that bounced. Does that just catch the coverage team off guard when that happens, or what?
Really, what happened on that? That's where Sherritt goes down, and if he's up there, that thing's corralled pretty good. I feel pretty good about that. But obviously that can't happen. I mean, if a guy goes down, someone has to step up and make the play. So we got to do a better job there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Mark. Mark, what'd you take away from the game Sunday that, you put together the drive at the end of the third quarter, but still some of those familiar mistakes?
Yeah. Obviously sloppy in a lot of ways. See, I'm already moved. We're moved on. We're moving on. Yeah. I have to relive. Individual breakdowns here and there. Obviously, created a few huge plays that got called back from penalties. One was a draw. Again, unfortunately, a few just one-offs here and there. That are easily correctable type of things. But then I thought for the most part, guys, clung together and obviously finishing the first half and starting the second half was key.
You ran a pretty up-tempo offense at Oregon. What have you learned about the challenges of running an up-tempo offense in the NFL compared to in college?
I don't know if there's necessarily challenges, that are different. I think you see teams that do it, whether it's the, New England and how they do it, or the Rams and how they do it. There's different ways to communicate. Obviously, you're in the quarterback's ear, literally, which is different. But I think the ins and outs and the mechanics of it are the same.
What do you see Mitch do well when you are in those up-tempo offenses?
I think he's just used to it. It's kind of his thing that he's done for a long time, obviously in college, and I don't really know what he did in high school, but a lot of teams do that. I don't know if his high school did, but I think it's just a comfort level, and it eliminates a lot of the pre-snap stuff that either he doesn't have to worry about, or we can take off his plate. So that's probably just another layer of just stuff checked off his list.
What does Anthony have to do to sustain the success that he had Sunday? What are the keys to making sure that carries over?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it for a long time, he's just uber talented and loves competitiveness, he's a team dude. He wants to rock, no question about it, but he's a team guy, and just being consistent. Just being consistent in practice, being consistent in games, and he's done that for the last couple of weeks.
What led to that success Sunday, in your opinion?
There were different things. Sometimes the coverage just kind of took the ball to him. Other times he just flat out beat a guy. So it was both luck of the situation, but then also being in the right place at the right time, and building that trust throughout the week of being in the right place at the right time was key.
To hear you say that maybe an up-tempo situation checks some of the things off Mitch's pre-snap checklist, and then to hear Mitch say that he likes those situations, you can understand why people might say, well, then just do that more, like get rid of that pre-snap checklist. What are the trade-offs in your estimation of, or the value of keeping those in there if, without them, Mitch feels like he's playing comfortably and faster?
And those being huddle calls, is that?
Whatever you think, or whatever the alternative would be.
Yeah, it's you are going to be a little limited, quote unquote. You're going to have different packages, a different number of whether it's plays per formation or plays per personnel group. But it's pretty limitless now in terms of motioning and shifting, and you see again teams do it all the time. We've done it of in and out of certain things. It's just more so you're not worried about the play clock. You're not worried about trying to play perfect as much, but then you're also, going to have some times where you're not in the ideal play, which, that's the biggest trade-off, which, is key sometimes.
With Veronica likely being out this Thursday because of the concussion, how much does the tight end room kind of set you guys back all year, just never really having the ideal players or guys that have been injured all year? With Burton, how much does that hurt you offensively?
Yeah, I mean, hard to quantify that really in terms of answering the last part of your question, but you just move on. You move on, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I thought, Ben came in and did some really, really good stuff. We had some guys last week, JP's come and done some really good stuff. And we just have to have that next one or two guys step up.
Getting down to what you are in that room, how does that affect how you use the tight ends in this offense on Thursday?
We'll find out. You know, it's there's obviously certain things. The biggest thing is what's plan B. You know, if you have a 3 fullback package and you have 3 fullbacks, there's no backups, or you know, whatever the analogy would be. And so that's you know, just things that you have to consider going into it, and knowing the ins and outs of how guys are or are not trending for availability.
Fair to say it inhibits play calling, at least from Matt's standpoint?
I don't know if it just inhibits certain things. You know, it's just like, hey, if you're down to 2 backs this week, you're not going to be in a 3 halfback alignment, or a 2, and just knowing that hey, if somebody's shoelace breaks, you got to run in there and know what to do. You got to have just that next guy ready to go.
Mark, what do you attribute the first quarter scoring struggles to this year? Would it be more Mitch said after the game, somebody didn't do their job? Or is it a lack of understanding of the offense?
I don't think it's a lack of understanding. I mean, last week, you're pulling up the picture of the drop we had, and it literally, there's one other person in the frame that, he's going to walk into the end zone, and it's just kind of like, that's it. That's a picture right there of representative, and, you're kind of, it's funny afterward, right? After the win for a second. But all that stuff, again, unfortunately, it's not, hey, it's this guy every time. It's this scheme every time. It's this defense every time. It hasn't been. It's, a drop by this guy or a drop by that guy or a missed throw or protection or, scheme on us. If it was easy, we, would address it.
How do you address starting fast? How do you, this stage in the season, well, we got to start fast. You can say it, but what are some things as coaches you guys can do to shift that?
You try to put them in great spots. We're trying like heck to put these guys in spots where they play confidently, feel confident going into it, and then go out and do it. And again, we had some chances last week and didn't. The good part about last week versus a few others is we reacted better. And we finished getting that drive there at halftime, and it felt awful, but it's a 1-score game.
Some of Mitch's downfield completions in the game, he's climbing the pocket, he's moving, forward. How do you consistently bring out of him that pocket presence and feel where he's not maybe falling away or drifting sideways, but climbing and keeping his eyes down the field?
Experience and trust, and showing him a couple weeks ago. There were a few times in multiple games where there is a pocket, and he's trying to bail out the back end, and that's hard. That's where all those guys are aimed, and so just trusting it and having it work out. That scramble out of the end zone was probably one of the biggest plays of the game for a lot of reasons, and feeling that one time kind of gets you going.
What do you make of Mitch's success in the third quarter, especially over the past few weeks?
Yeah, I just thought everybody, and brought up Anthony earlier. Everybody got off to a good start. Protected well, played cleanly. It wasn't 1st and 20. It wasn't drop. It wasn't this or that. It was playing clean and just kind of playing on the front foot.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Hi, Joe.
Fire away.
What have you really learned about HaHa since you started working with him and now that you've seen him play to this point in the season?
Yeah, really good pro. We knew coming in that, he was, had experience and had played at a really high level. He's done a great job ever since he's walked into this building. He's a veteran guy. He takes his job very, very seriously. He's a great communicator, prepares really well, and I think you see him going out and playing week in and week out and being productive, and that's because of his preparation.
What about his tackling stands out to you in the angles that he takes?
Really good. Yeah, I think we got one of the best tackling secondaries, in the National Football League. I've been around a lot of secondaries where, guys will make business decisions, but this group doesn't. They're pretty physical.
Here, it seems like everybody talked about how he was a ball hawk and not the most physical tackler. But this season, especially in the recent game, some of the open field tackles especially, has he almost surpassed those expectations, or was that kind of like a misnomer about him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really pay any attention to that stuff, coming in. We just saw, what's that?
Be a better tackler seeing him live and in person than you thought before.
I just know he's doing a great job tackling for us, and he's getting guys on the ground, and that's not an easy task. The guys that you got to get on the ground, whether they're coming out of the backfield or, receivers, tight ends, it doesn't matter. But again, he did a great job last week. He made a couple critical stops, especially 4th and 4 on a man coverage deal, and took a great angle, got the guy on the ground, got us off the field. So he's doing a great job.
How about how Eddie Jackson has done playing in the box more than maybe he has in his career previously?
Yeah, he's doing a good job there too. I think you saw against the Rams. He was down in there probably more than usual, more than you guys are used to seeing him. So I think when you have two guys like Eddie and Ha Ha, for the opponent and for the quarterback, they can't just sit there and say, okay, just find 39, and if he's back there somewhere, he's going to be in the post, and 21's going to be down in the box, or vice versa. So it gives you a bunch of flexibility that way.
How do you feel that flexibility and that versatility has improved his game? I know he's not getting the interceptions we're used to seeing, but he is making some other plays that we also have not really.
Yeah, I think just the first play a couple weeks ago when he's down there and pulls that ball off the runner and forces the first takeaway in that game, and I think that's huge. And he's a playmaker. So whether it's in the deep parts of the field where he's not really getting tested a whole lot. So when he's down in the box and he's, coming on pressures and things like that, some fire zone stuff, he's doing a good job there, and he can, he's a playmaker, and he can make plays and change the game for us.
What's your thoughts on Driscoll? He's got the hamstring though, and so Blau would be the backup for them, and how you kind of prepare in a short week for a rookie that may play, and if Driscoll can't go, and obviously you saw Driscoll.
Yeah, we're planning on, Driscoll going. I think we all understand and know why, he made the injury report. He played the whole game. Our advanced scouting department, watched the whole game. They were there. They saw him pregame. They saw him post, this, that, and the other. So we've looked at the other guy. It's like the first game. They trotted, number 2 out there, and we had to, line up and play against them. So we'll show our guys enough tape on the other guy and make sure we're ready for whoever lines up there.
Chuck, you coached the Thanksgiving game, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Had to bring that up, huh?
Steelers, right? Is there anything
He
unusual?
even knows the team.
Is there anything you need to warn against with your guys just being too hyped, being too into the fact that it's a primetime game in the middle of the day?
Well, it's at 11:30, Central Time, right? That's 12:30 Eastern Time, right? It's early, so I will encourage them to get up and get a bunch of coffee in them and get rolling, things like that. But no, I mean, our guys are used to, those kind of things and that kind of stage, and they all get that. And it's a short week, it's a short turnaround. And anytime, you come off a game and then you've got a Thursday game and it happens to be that early, this is going to be more mental than physical, obviously. We can't, take them out there and, beat them up and put the pads on and do all that kind of stuff. So this is about, studying and knowing your opponent. Thank God we played them, not too long ago. So they know us, we know them, the team that, this is kind of who wants it more type of deal. And, our guys will be ready to go and they'll go out and play, and you got to execute and you can't beat yourself. And I think the team that makes the fewest mistakes, in this one will probably come out, victorious.
In that same vein, Chuck, what will it be like for you to coach again on Thanksgiving?
What's that?
What will it be like for you to coach again on Thanksgiving?
it'll be cool, and obviously, we all have a lot to be thankful for. I have a lot to be thankful for, and, anytime you have an opportunity to go out and compete and play, whether it's on Thanksgiving or whatever, it's a cool deal. So it'll be exciting, but most importantly, once it's kicked off, hopefully we play well enough within that 3 hours and 7 minutes, whatever it is, and get a win.
Chuck, what was the lasting impression? There are two receivers left on you guys, specifically just the fact that they have Galladay and Jones, and what the options that presents for their offense and the challenges for your defense.
It's a dynamic duo, if you will, and they're great talent. Driscoll, can get them the ball. They can take the top off. They're great route runners. They're competitive guys. So, you gotta do a great job disguise. You gotta mix your coverages. You gotta play tight coverage. You want to try to, jam and reroute when you can. But these are two dynamic guys, and I think, being on the road and playing indoors and those type of things, it's going to be a little bit different. I know they're going to take a bunch of shots down the field to those guys. I know Galladay's, one of the most targeted guys down the field, in the league right now. So we got to do a great job. It'll be a combination, obviously, of, they've brought 43 in now, and he's doing a great job of running the football. And off of that, they're running more zone read stuff, with Driscoll. That always poses a huge challenge. And so if you have to load up, the box and bring an extra defender in, you're putting your back end guys in one-on-one situations, which is, it's hard enough when you're rolled up and you got help over the top, let alone, being one-on-one with those guys. So it'll be a huge challenge for us.
Were you surprised the Giants attempted to block Khalil with one guy a couple of times last week? We haven't seen that in a while.
Fired up. I was fired up. Yeah. So was he, yeah.
Your eyes, when you know that's a possibility, do your eyes?
Every now and then, someone won't tend to him, or they'll leave one guy on him. Talking about the strip sack? Yeah. You know what our record is when he has a strip sack over the last 2 years? What is it? 7-1.
How would you assess just overall the type of season that he's had, despite the numbers or whatever they may be, but overall the impact he's made from start to finish? How would you kind of assess that?
Again, his biggest thing, our biggest thing is just getting the wins, and he doesn't care about the stats and all those things, but he's had a great year, and some years it's going to be a little bit different. And I look at, just how people are playing us, what they're doing to take him out of the game. But he's a hard charger and he's a warrior, and he just keeps going and going and going. So you guys don't feel it, you don't see it because of the splash, wow plays, those sack fumbles. We saw it again, obviously last week, and it was huge. But the way he affects the game, down in and down out, doing his job, setting other guys up, taking care of the run game, taking on, doubles and triple teams and all those kind of things. He's had a great year.
Chuck, what is it about him that when an opponent does leave the door cracked for a play, they decide to block him one-on-one with the tight end or something like that, that he's able to capitalize on that one opportunity?
He's a freak, and left alone, one-on-one, he's going to probably win that matchup, 99.9% of the time, because he doesn't take any downs off. He does not take any downs off, and he was sitting next to me, during a TV timeout going into that last 2-minute drill. I think there was three minutes or some, whatever. Him and 94 were on the sideline, and, I was like, really? And so they trotted back out there, and we got the win. But, we got to give them a blow every now and then. And I felt like the TV timeout was enough. Coach Monachino thought differently, but that's all right. We're all good. But they want to be out there. But anyway, he just, he goes 1,000 miles an hour, and his motor's always running.
What have your impressions been of Nick Lukoski, the way he stepped in, the way he's fit with the rest of the defense and kind of complements the other guys in that front?
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's made plays, made a huge interception, to help us win a game, and tackle after tackle, communication, wearing the, the helmet, the comms, the communication, being out front of the huddle, getting the call to everybody, getting everybody lined up, playing Mike linebacker and being in charge of the huddle. And, you're involved in the run, you're involved in the pass, you've got to get guys lined up, you've got to get the, the call from the sideline, you got to get the personnel, you got to, get guys lined up. I mean, there's a lot there. And for a guy that, stepped in and really didn't have a lot of, playing time, and he doesn't have, he doesn't have opportunities during the week. When you're a backup guy, you do your special team stuff and you'll get a rep here or a rep there, but it's all mental, and he's done a great job of that. He continues to do a great job of that, and that's why he was able to, come in and play winning football for us. Thank you.
Chuck, thank you.